all the time. They don't
Hey,
even need an
listen to me. It's
introduction.
all gold. It's all
Making it
gold.
rain. Making it
We'll
rain.
just start a conversation and just keep talking.
Latino immigrant movie.
You Google that immigrant
Oscar.
movie Oscar.
Shut up, you guys.
Immigrant
Shut
Oscar
up.
movie winner,
Damien
Mexican.
Bashir. Damien Bashir. That's his name. And the movie was A Better Life.
Okay.
He could play Moses.
I feel like Latinas get more like screen time than Latinos.
Because they're hot. That's why.
That's pretty true.
Or spicy.
But the Latinos are hot too.
Yeah, I know, but it's guys. Guys go to the theater more. I think. I don't know. I don't know that for a fact.
I don't know. I think it's. I mean, and you guys can correct me. I think it's hard for Latinas to get like serious roles, other than like the Bombshell or the like Sofia Vergara.
Yeah.
Um,
Sofia Vergara's not winning any Oscars anytime soon,
no,
unfortunately.
she is not.
Unfortunately.
I'm trying to think of a.
Well, Salma Hayek got nominated for an Oscar for Frida, but
Frida was a great film.
it was good.
We
It's
need more
okay.
films like Frida.
It took her like what 10, 20 years to make it.
Yeah, but there was a lot of competition because Madonna was trying to get one too, and she was going to star as the lead role.
Oh hell no!
At the
Talk
same
about
time,
race
uh,
lips.
yeah, at the same time.
What is
They were
Madonna
competing
anyway?
to
Is
get
she
it done.
like? Is she? What is she?
She's
Yeah, I
Italian.
feel like she's Italian.
Her
but I don't
last
think
name,
she's
her last
really-
name is Ciccone.
Mm-hmm.
Madonna Ciccone,
Dyed blonde.
Italian from Michigan.
She's a brunette.
Yeah, she's a real brunette. Yeah,
Like the curtain does not match the drapes or
Yeah.
the carpet.
the carpet doesn't match the drapes
And
Yeah.
you
The
know
curtains
this
don't match the drapes.
because
because
Well,
she
Oh,
her
you've never seen her naked, Malik?
no, I've never seen
Come on,
Madonna.
everybody's seen her naked.
Everybody's
No,
seen her naked.
I've never seen Madonna naked. Can't say I've had
You
the
have the
pleasure.
internet?
I do. I can't say that I've had the pleasure. I've avoided. I must have avoided it.
I mean, I don't know how you could have avoided it. It was like everywhere. Well, at least in the '90s, it was everywhere.
What, her vagina?
Yeah, it's just everywhere.
The vagina was.
I don't want to see it, but
in
they
the
showed it to
world.
me anyway.
Did you really hit record?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's recording.
The magic is happening, Lorenzo. Money.
Malik, do you got an intro or something for this?
Oh, now he's asking for an intro. Before he was like, just hit record.
I mean, the people, we could just fill them in right now. Malik, do you want to tell the people what we're talking about?
We're talking about Johanna gave us a very, very good article with regards to the new movie Exodus: Gods and Kings. It's released. Is it already out?
Yeah, it
came out-
came out over the weekend. It made 24 million.
and it did nothing in the box office. It's pretty much crawled to a schlub, and we're giving it more credit than it deserves already. But there seems to be some backlash and some negative talk about it, so we decided to give it a go as the agents normally do, and that's what you're hearing right now. It's a bunch of shit thrown at the wall talking about this.
Well, it's
So,
about race, Malik. Cut to the chase. It's about race.
This is gonna be race. This is 2 weeks in a row now. We're talking
Yeah,
about race.
we've done race a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my thing is, how you gonna get a guy named Christian to play like the
To play a
biggest Jew
Christian?
there is? He's like Moses
Oh my
is
God.
like the head Jew. He's like the
He's
head
the
Jew
head.
honcho guy. You can't get a guy named Christian to play Moses. It just is ridiculous. It's a slap in the face of all the Jewish people, and I say that as a non-Jewish person.
So what
So
Jewish
I speak
actor should
with
we got?
absolutely no authority. Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry
Larry,
Oh my
Seinfeld.
God.
Should we ask
Larry
Seinfeld?
Oh my God. Jesus,
I-
literally.
I'd take Larry David.
Larry David.
Larry David. That's almost better than Jerry Seinfeld.
Can you imagine the conversation he would have with Ramses?
Oh yeah, he'd be like hemming and hawing. He'd be like moving
Yeah.
back and forth. He'd be like, geez, yeah, he would. It would be funny.
It would
Probably.
definitely be funny.
It would absolutely be hilarious.
He's like, Ramses,
Yeah,
you're taking
I
up
mean,
all my
is this-
cabinet space here.
I don't know.
Would Woody Allen would do a movie like that.
Would he star as Moses? Because I don't know how I feel about that.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if Woody Allen can star as Moses.
Yeah, that's.
Well, now, and he's a little.
He's a little
it's
old.
pretty bad when you're too old to play Moses. Moses died when he was like 800 or something.
well, Woody Allen would do like Moses in Manhattan. So he'd find a way to take the story of Moses and like put him somewhere on the Upper East Side.
No, you could get Seth Rogen to play Moses.
Oh wow.
Seth Rogen, or no, but even better, Sacha Baron Cohen. You can get him to play Moses.
Okay,
No,
so
he
I
was
think
gonna
what
play-
we're trying to get at though is that it's nice. It would be nice if we could have people of color playing people of color instead of Christian Bale playing people of color. Christian Bale should be playing Batman, and not necessarily a black man or a Jewish man,
Or a
and
man with a tan.
or any man with the tan. And I definitely see that point. And what I guess what I'm saying is that at least we're at the point now where we're getting upset about it. I feel like when Charlton Heston was doing this, he nobody cared. Like nobody even thought about it. I mean, that was back when like people were still putting on blackface and all the Mexicans in cowboy movies were played by white guys, and Indians were played by white guys, and everybody was played by white guys, and white women too. So, I mean, it seems like we've come further, but then something like this happens again, and it's not really a surprise to any of us, right? But at least there's some sort of like backlash now.
I mean, I've seen a lot of it. So it's definitely out there. I think that I don't know if you guys all read the second article that the director and Christian Bale, very disappointingly, because he is my boo, might not be my boo anymore, kind of just took this cavalier attitude towards the issue.
Who, Christian Bale?
Yeah.
Isn't Christian Bale
he
isn't he a dick? I mean, isn't that been pretty much established that he's kind of a dick?
He apologized. He apologized for being a dick.
That's
But
fine.
like, yeah, well, his response was, "Wouldn't it be great if we lived in a world where we could have like North African actors in a movie about Moses? Like that would be a beautiful thing." It was basically the Lena Dunham defense of a lack of diversity in film or TV. So that.
What's the Lena Dunham defense, Johanna?
Lena Dunham was criticized for not having any people of color in the first season of Girls, and her response was, "I'd really love it if there were people of color in the show too." She writes the fucking show.
Yeah, but I mean, it's her show. Does she have to have people of color?
It's New York, Joe.
I understand it's New York, but she's talking about her group of friends.
No, but there's
I
not
mean-
like one coffee shop person. This was the problem I had. This was one of the issues I had with Friends too. Like you
There's
cannot.
no black people in New York. Everybody knows that.
Exactly. You can't do a show in New York City and not come across one friggin' black person. Like,
Could you imagine if aliens were watching like Friends, Malik, and they were watching Friends, and so like that was the only channel they could get, and so all they knew about New York City was from watching Friends, and then they landed in New York.
Exactly.
Culture shock that would be for the aliens.
It's like La La Land.
I mean, Seinfeld
They would get
didn't have
jacked.
any
Those aliens, they
Seinfeld
would
didn't have any,
get jacked so fast.
black people either in Seinfeld, or pretty much any people of color in Seinfeld.
Seinfeld had people of color. Well, first of all, the attorney was black. Remember they did the Johnny
Yeah,
Cash?
but I'm saying that was a recurring role that was on like maybe once or twice a season.
And
it
then-
wasn't
and
like
then- and
the
then there
main
was that-
cast.
And then there
I
was,
mean,
there
yeah,
was
but
the family that.
at least they had. Like,
I mean, Friends had Aisha Tyler.
color.
Friends had Aisha Tyler for a while.
Yeah.
Ross was dating her.
And Joe, and just to let you know, Joe, that was after people started talking about the fact that their Friends had been on for like 7 or 8 seasons and there was no people of color, and then they cast Aisha Tyler. So it wasn't it was they threw a bone to Black
But
America
isn't
by
that
putting
kind of
Aisha
like the
Tyler on
point,
there.
though? Is that that's the kind of the point that Christian Bale makes, right? Is that if the people demand it, it'll happen.
But that was my point to the discussion as well, was like it shouldn't have to happen because I shouldn't have to scream about it for you to do it. And that's the whole point is if it's really about the art, if it's really about showing the depiction, if it's really about portraying the work in its most real perspective, then it shouldn't have to be, well, you asked me to do it, so here it is. Right? It shouldn't have to be the person. People shouldn't have to get on their soapbox to protest something in order to get something to happen.
But that's how it's always been, Malik.
What I'm saying is, that doesn't make it right. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, Lorenzo? It doesn't make it right. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Do it because it's something that you want to portray, or do it because you want to depict the story of Moses and the Jews, and you want to depict that story in a realistic and as realistic a perspective as you possibly can. That's why you do it. You don't do it just because Black America said you better do this. That's the thing that bothers me more than anything else. It's not that it's his statement is, if you tell us that you're going to come and watch these movies, then we'll start making these movies with Black people in them. What? That doesn't make any. I mean, obviously, it's a completely capitalistic perspective to view it. It's like if you're not going to come out and watch it, we're just not going to do anything. But don't tell me that you're doing things for the art. Then don't tell me that you're doing things for the love of film or anything like that. Just tell me you're doing things for a paycheck, and we know that you're going to come out and watch Christian Bale, and you're not going to watch Jimon Hunsu or anything like that. Like, you're not going to come and see him, so we're not going to cast him.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, if I was a director and like I had the opportunity to cast Christian Bale in something, I probably would, because he's Batman.
Would you cast him to play Shaft? Would you cast him to play?
Ask him to play Shaft?
Yeah. Would you go if
I mean, I get your point, Malik, but no, Shaft.
He was in Shaft.
No, but he wasn't playing Shaft.
No, he wasn't playing Shaft.
Is that what you're saying? You're like, he wasn't Shaft, but he doesn't need to play Shaft? Okay, I mean, I get your point, but I guess my deeper point is that, there was a time when, like, slavery was socially acceptable, and then eventually it became, like Jim Crow laws were socially acceptable. Like, it was socially acceptable to like use terms that are no longer socially acceptable, and so there needs to be like some social pushback for things to become socially unacceptable. I'm sure there were some very, very nice racists, in the past, people that were just fine and dandy, good-hearted Christians who were also racist, because that was what society was, it was acceptable, and so it is really. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, in some ideal world, it'd be great if change just happened by itself. But the way the world works is that when something's not right, people need to be expressly told this isn't right, over and over and over again in dramatic fashion, and sink in, and for change to occur. Because it's hard to do the right thing when you're not clear exactly what the right thing is to do.
Ridley Scott knows what the right thing is to do, and so does Christian Bale.
Ridley Scott is like, hey, y'all need to get a life. If I want to cast Christian Bale as Moses, it's been done before. Charlton Heston was playing Moses. Christian Bale is cooler than Charlton Heston. Why can't I cast Christian Bale to do it? He's a good actor,
so you know what then?
He probably doesn't see anything wrong with it. Honestly, he probably doesn't see anything wrong with it, Malik.
No,
and there's a problem with that mindset in Hollywood. That's a problem with Hollywood, especially with these emails that were leaked. If you guys know the emails from Sony, where they're speculating about what movies Obama likes and whether he's a Kevin Hart fan. It's a old white man establishment. So I think then the question.
But what's wrong with wondering what if Obama likes a Kevin Hart movie or not. I mean, I'm speaking as totally. I heard about it, but I didn't
If
at
you
all
read it
look at
verbatim,
any of them. And I mean, what I heard was there were some racially insensitive comments, yada yada yada. But I mean, what you just said
if you
sounds like
read
something
it,
we might be talking about.
but if you read it verbatim, I'm sorry if I'm like totally mangling it, but when you actually read the email, it's obvious that they're racist. It's obvious that they are really racist and that they're directing this racism towards the president, which post-racial. But I guess what I was going to say is that I feel like the question becomes, do we take the route that Malik is talking about and, the white directors take it upon themselves to say, hey, like, I have the opportunity to do something. I am Ridley Scott. I am richer than God. I made Gladiator. Like, what are my choices when it comes to this film? Or is it the people need to vote with their money? Blacks and Latinos make up a huge percentage of people who go to the theaters. So
I don't think
if
it's
they-
all about money. I think that there is such a thing as like a social consciousness, and I think that comes. It's like with not to. Ugh, I don't. I was gonna say not to beat a dead horse, but what we were talking about last week with all the injustice that's going around and the police brutality. There are many people, it's just simply not on their radar. But once it gets on their radar, like I guess that's what the point that's the point they're making when they talk about how Twitter is like a tool for social change. They're talking about like this sort of mass consensus that takes place, like, or that thing where, Joe, didn't you dump a thing of water on your head at one point to raise awareness for
Yes, I did.
ACLs?
ALS.
Right.
ALS.
And so like those things. I mean, I'm reluctant to admit it, but I think those things really do change the world a little bit at a time. And so like because
But
simply just people.
Lorenzo, you know what also changes the world, Lorenzo? You know what also changes the world?
What?
People that have the power to make the change themselves and actually taking it upon themselves to do it. That's
But
the other.
I'm saying those people
Yeah,
need.
But you're asking them to take a risk. That's the problem.
I'm not asking Ridley Scott to take any more of a risk than he takes when he made Prometheus. He took a risk then too. Every time a movie is released.
Yeah, that
the
was a pretty
director-
crazy risk.
Anytime a movie is released into Hollywood, the director, the studio, they all take risks. It's a risk.
But you're asking them to take a risk with casting.
But what I'm saying, I'm asking him.
Like, why did Prometheus happen? Like, was it because he felt so passionate about it, or was it because he was in it for a paycheck?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure.
what I'm saying is, if it's something that he believes in, just like for Christian Bale, and the interesting thing is, Ridley Scott himself never came out and has not made any statement other than get a life to the people that have problems with his films, with this film. But what I'm saying is, if he believes it, if some director believes that the depiction of the characters, if they have their thought in their mind about the certain depiction of a character that they're going to put out there, and they put that character out there, they're taking a risk regardless of whether they put out Christian Bale or Denzel Washington. It doesn't matter. When J.J. Abrams decides he wants to cast John Boyega as a brand new Jedi, a black Jedi, probably the first release since Mace Windu, when he decides he wants to do that, and everyone goes up in arms. If that's what he wants to do, then he does it. If he
But nobody's going to go up in arms about that. We've already had it.
People have gone up in arms about that, about John Boyega as a black Jedi. Absolutely.
Why? Mace Windu. I mean, Sam Jackson was a black Jedi. I don't remember an outcry about that.
It's the same thing with Rue. Same thing with Rue and Thresh in Hunger Games. It's the same shit.
And it really impacted the box office in all of those films.
Yeah. I mean, Joe's right. Like, people, like, there's always idiots that are always going to say things. You can't validate every time like people come out and complain about something. And I think that's kind of what really Scott's coming from, is like that's what he hears. It's just like, another like flame war going on, that he's trying to like rise above when he says get a life. And he's not.
Again, I'm fine with it. If this is what Ridley Scott, this is the depiction that Ridley Scott wanted to do, and he absolutely wanted to do this, and she wanted to shoot this film, and he wanted this actor and these individuals to play these roles, and he is perfectly comfortable with it. Then I have no problem with Ridley Scott doing what he wanted to do. He's a director; he's perfectly fine doing it. However, if there was any of an internal battle, if there was any thought that maybe I should have gone, maybe he should go with actors who actually match the diaspora of the times. If it was any belief that he should have possibly done that, then there is no excuse for doing it this way, other than I did it because I wanted to connect some star quality to it and make some bet and make.
Well,
That's it.
okay,
That's what I'm talking about.
let me just
Yeah.
make one point. Okay, like the movie 300, right? I brought it up. I said that the guy that played, what's his name, Joe?
Xerxes.
King Leonidas or Xerxes? Xerxes?
Yeah, Leonidas, whatever. Leonidas, the bad guy in
Xerxes.
300. The guy
King
from,
Xerxes.
yeah, it's Xerxes. Like he would make a good Moses, right? That's what I was saying. But I guess the thing about 300 is that it's filled with white people, and I think that like we don't mind it so much because when we think back upon like the Greeks and we think of the Romans, we do have like this vision of like white people, like Caesar, Julius Caesar. You think of him and you think like Shakespeare, so you think of like white guys playing Julius Caesar. So I mean, there is sort of like this idea that the public has or the mainstream has of like a certain type of person that fills these roles. And so there is like one other point of view. So because Malik, you mentioned that he's doing it for the paycheck or he's doing it because he feels whatever about it, but it could also be because he's giving the public what they expect, right? Like he's casting the movie so that it looks like the vision that people have when they think of these historical moments, because that's what they've been fed their whole lives. And so that goes back to that point about how like if you want change, it's not just about like complaining and pushing and crying about it and complaining. It's about also raising that awareness. And so it's not just about raising awareness, we need more people of color to be playing roles, but you also need to actually be changing people's perception of what these roles are supposed to be filled by, because they probably don't even think, this actually would make more sense if it was a person of color playing this role, because that's what people have seen their whole lives. I guess that's part of that point that I'm trying to get at.
I mean, I see I understand what you're saying, and again, I understand if it's from the perspective, again, to me, when you're a director, and especially a director of Ridley Scott's Ridley Scott's
Gladiator, another
of his
movie
type.
filled with white people.
A director, but I'm just saying, if you're a director of his type with the cachet in Hollywood that he has, and clearly he has a fair amount of respect in the industry. My belief is that with that ability and with that respect, that you would have the opportunity to pretty much dictate what you want in a film. And if you're making a film about a certain period or a certain time frame, and you're deciding, and you have that decision, you're not being told that you have to put Christian Bale in this film. You're not being told that you have to put Sigourney Weaver or some other,
or Russell Crowe,
or
but we don't know that.
Joaquin Phoenix.
You could be being told these things. You don't know that.
But even if he's not, like I said, like that's what people would expect. Gladiator to be played by Maximus, to be played by a guy like Russell Crowe,
again,
or there's no thought like, this guy should be browner.
No, but that's my point. If that's what's driving your decision, if you're making this decision because you truly believe and that's what you want to do, then I have no problem with it. It's your choice. But if you're making this decision because either one, Hollywood told you to do it, or because two, you're going to make more money if you tie a big name actor to it, and therefore you don't see the purpose of tying an actual actor who fits the role or who fits the character, or three, you're doing it because the American people are going to, that's what they expect to see. I think that you're being relatively disingenuous to the subject matter and to the period in time that you're actually telling. Now, look, if you sat back and you said, you know what, I want to do a story about Moses, and Christian Bale is the actor I want to play Moses, then fine. That is your choice. That is you're completely warranted to do that. My issue is that when you make that decision for all those other reasons, and you do that, don't be surprised when people are like, "Wow, you really went for the cash grab." Because like we can tell when somebody's going for a cash grab,
I don't
right?
think he cares that people are
feels like
saying
a
that.
cash grab, honestly.
I think the guy hears so many voices. You know, I'm sure he's just tuned it all out. Like it's very much like the Transformers guy. He probably does not care at all what people are saying because he's just people say so much. How could you possibly care about everything people say when people just never shut up about one thing or another? And so I'm sure it's hard for them to sometimes, take valid criticism or be able to separate valid criticism from just the idiots that are complaining that Rue is black or whatever because I mean there's that point you're making a point that you're just giving people what they expect, but as part of the deal you have a contract with the people that are buying tickets that you're going to give them something that they kind of expect. Like if a person's going to see a comedy, then you are kind of expected to give them a comedy, and there's going to be a problem if you give them some like really sad, depressing movie, which has happened before. I know I've been in movies that were not very funny that I thought were going to be comedies. And yeah, so it's just that, you have to, there's always going to be that aspect of giving the audience what they expect, at least up to some point, because that's just, it's like a two-way process being a director. You have to like be thinking about your audience as you're creating your movie, because they're the ones that are ultimately you're creating the vision for. And so I wouldn't be so dismissive of that idea of like, oh, well, this is just the vision that we and the, that I as the director have for my audience. Because when you do things like change the race of a character, it makes a statement. You're absolutely right. Like it makes a very clear statement. But maybe you're not interested in that statement. Maybe to you it'd be like a distraction. Like for example, casting a black girl to play Little Orphan Annie. Like that is like a decision. That's a statement. Like
Right.
it is like something that people are going to be talking about.
I was
If you're
gonna
making a
mention that.
movie, yeah, if you're making Little Orphan Annie and you want to just tell the story of Little Orphan Annie, then you might hesitate to cast a black girl to play Little Orphan Annie because everybody knows Little Orphan Annie is a white redhead.
Right.
And I think I'm a big fan of the actress, and I think that I think it's great that they're doing it. I'm just saying that if that's not your intent, to make some sort of statement about it, or to like get people talking about it, or to get people thinking about that particular aspect, if you just want people to be thinking about like, oh, this is a a great Little Orphan Annie story, I don't know, whatever, if you're just trying to like tell the story in your own way, and not necessarily make it a racial thing, then maybe you don't want to change the race of characters. I mean, like the whole thing with and it's happening, and I think it's great. Like with like everybody's talking about it, and it becomes like this thing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it becoming a thing. But as a director, I think you do get to make that decision whether or not you want one of your casting decisions to be its own little thing. Have a life of its own.
Right.
So Malik, let me ask, are you not going to see Exodus: Gods and Kings now, or?
Were you going to see it before?
To be honest, I didn't know much about it going into today's show. I probably wouldn't have seen it in the theaters. It's probably something I would have waited until. I mean, I didn't see. I saw those types of films. Like I didn't see Noah in the theaters. Those types of films would probably be something like a
Passion of the Christ.
Watching. I didn't watch Passion of the Christ at all.
There was no up in arms about James Caviezel playing Jesus Christ.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
there's
there
a
was
whole
kind of, yeah. I mean,
problematic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That
The
was
film
like
made the
the
film made
phase.
like what half a billion
$1 billion.
dollars. Yeah, I mean, clearly not that much up in arms.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I
I
mean,
mean,
but people
there
were
is
talking like it was a thing, though. It was like
Yeah.
they were
Yeah,
talking
it
about
was.
how the movie was. I mean, he made the movie in Arabic.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, they
it
were
was.
complaining about it as they were
These were
buying their movie
decisions.
tickets.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
were you saying, Johanna?
I'm not necessarily tying it with with box office numbers. I'm tying it more with just as an experience, as going to the movie as an experience, like the
Yeah.
things that you focus on. Like as a director, your job is to direct the focus of the audience, and so there's certain things that you do that or you don't do, and Mel Gibson made the choice to make the whole fucking movie in Arabic and try to make it as authentic as possible. I mean,
Except
really,
with the
like
actors, with
we
the
can,
exception
it's
of
kind
the
of
actors.
hypocritical. Well, no, I mean a lot of the actors were played by people of color, and they didn't anyway. My point is like we're a little bit hypocritical because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to go see a movie that is in like I don't want to go. I wouldn't want to go to this movie Exodus and it be a subtitled film, right? Like
I
I
have no
expect
problem with
I
that.
don't think anybody
would.
wants that.
I would have no problem with that.
I
think-
wouldn't
no,
mind.
I mean,
I think we're
Yeah,
getting away.
but I
I
mean-
think you're getting away from what I think Johanna's point to the whole thing was that they had Christian Bale and they have William Egerton playing the two main characters, but yet the secondary and slave characters are all played by colored actors. Is that right,
Right.
Johanna?
Yeah,
Right. I think that's
it's
the whole
very-
thing. I think that was like the big point of it. That if you're going to get colored actors to play people of color to play the slaves, why not have people of color play, the main characters? Now, Johanna, would you have had a big of a problem if they also had, white actors playing the slaves as well? Would it have been a big deal?
I think it would have been less striking. I think that it's still very problematic, but at the same time, it kind of falls in the genre of these biblical movies where everyone is white, as opposed to showing like a wide range of ethnicities and races that were in North Africa and the Middle East at the time. But the very fact that they sought out black actors, people of color, to be in these roles of slaves and thieves, and yet somehow did not have the ability to cast even the most secondary character. Okay, you want to make Christian Bale Moses, fine. You want to make Ramses What's His Toes and this, the 4 or 5 characters who are the main characters. You're going to make them white, fine. But there's probably all these secondary roles that you could have had black or POC actors. I mean, it's not the fucking 60s anymore, man. There's you can trip over people of color who are talented and can act and are in Hollywood. But yes,
they would get mad at you though if you did.
So,
Like, why you tripping?
so if
It's gonna make a
if
Spike
they had
Lee
just if they had just cast the whole movie as white, it wouldn't have been as big an issue.
it
That's
wouldn't have been
ridiculous, Joanna. That would have been
Hold on.
ridiculous.
Hold on. It wouldn't have been as noticeable because sadly it would not have been a surprise. Does that make any sense? Like,
I
it
don't
would be
know.
like, oh,
I mean, I
yeah.
hear what you're saying. Like you're talking about like those old movies like Cleopatra and
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
all
Elizabeth
that
Taylor
stuff.
played
But-
Cleopatra
Yeah,
and stuff.
but you couldn't get away with that now. You just couldn't. Like
No.
you can barely get away with casting the main characters as white people. You're not going to get away with casting all of Egypt as white people. It's just
Yeah,
not going
I
to work
mean-
anymore.
Yeah, I think if this movie doesn't do well, it's just because it was just bad. I don't think it's going to be because
Bible
people
movies
are standing up.
Aren't really doing well. I mean, well, I don't know. Did Noah do good? I don't.
I
remember
don't think
anymore.
so. I don't think it did all that well. I mean, the last really good Bible movie that happened was Passion of the Christ, and that was like.
Well, when you
breaking
say really good,
records.
you mean box office.
Yeah,
So-
box
so
office.
you-
I mean, that's
yeah.
that's what we that's how you tell if a movie's doing well. How much money did it make? I mean, that's.
I don't know.
Really, that's
We've
what
had
it,
this
that's what it boils
conversation
down-
before.
That's really what it boils down to.
But that's how people
Um,
make their statement. That's what you're saying is like that's how the
Yeah.
public talks with the
Exactly.
box office.
Exactly.
I get it.
So people went to see it. So hence Mel Gibson made tons of money because that was a truly independent film. He
Right,
did
and then
everything.
and then after that he did Acapulco or
And then-
whatever it was called, Calypso
Yeah.
or
Apocalypto.
And,
Apocalypto, yeah.
Apocalypto is an example of what I'm actually talking about. Is Mel
Yeah.
Gibson is actually Mel Gibson deciding to make a film about Mayan people and using all Mayan actors
Yeah.
and actresses for
And
his
they
So
talked
Mel
to
Gibson is your hero then, Malik. That's what I'm
He's
hearing.
not at all. He's not. No, not in the least.
And I
bit.
mean that movie is problematic too.
No,
I
it
mean,
has
it's
its own-
kind
it has
of
its own-
hilarious though that like a guy who's, I think it's established that he's pretty freaking racist, is like the big mover of like race. He's like the
in our show, right?
pushing in a way. I don't know. It kind of makes sense. Like if you want to like get a discussion about, you need to look towards the racist people because they're the ones that
Look
are
to
like
the racists.
Look to the racist.
look to the racist people. I mean, that was what we were talking about.
You need to hide that sign on your desk, Lorenzo. Look to the racist.
Look to the racists.
If you want change, look to the racist. Yeah, I mean, no, Malik, that is a great example. I mean, he wanted to make that movie as authentic as possible. I'm guessing. I only watched it the one time.
Right.
But,
And again,
it was kind of long, but it was good, especially when it ends with it ends with the I guess with the Europeans, the white people landing, coming to shore, and that's how it ends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing, and like I said, there's this conscious decision made by him, by Mel Gibson, to make this authentic film about these people, to use their native people and their native language to tell this story. And whether people liked it or not, whether Hollywood was up in arms and completely loved it, whether the fans went to see it in droves, he did this movie and he released this film. And if more directors did that, then maybe there would be a lot more opportunities for actors of color in all races and ethnic groups to play roles that are that connect more intimately to the roles to the characters that they're portraying.
I just think when Mel Gibson released that film or did it, he was already in a good spot that he could do that and not really worry too much.
And my
because
belief,
people were going to come see it because of what he just did previously with Jesus.
And my belief is that Ridley Scott is in that same position, and there's a lot of directors that are in.
I don't think so. He just did Prometheus, so I don't think he's in that position.
Ridley Scott's still got a lot of love.
I can't remember what was his last hit.
Look,
clearly Prometheus was not it.
Prometheus was definitely not the best film, but they liked it. I mean, they liked it.
Who liked it?
No, they liked it enough to go see it. It made a lot of money.
Well, that's because it was banking off your prior knowledge of Alien.
Exactly.
So that's what brought you in. Now, when Prometheus 2 comes out, I don't know if the crowd's going to come. I mean, if they even do make that film. I don't know if the people are going to come because that first one was just horrible.
Yeah, they may show up. Well, we'll see.
I'm not showing up.
It'd be worth a try.
So.
But that's it for tonight. I think that's it for tonight.
Hold on. I think Lorenzo's got something to say. Yeah, I think your mic betrayed you.
My
You want
mic
to chime in before we cut out?
my mic totally told me, made me shut up. Or did you? Are you there?
Somebody had to make you
But
shut up.
the thing
The mic did it.
The only point that I was going to say was that if the Passion of the Christ had not done what it did, then Calypso probably Acapulco, whatever the hell it was called.
You took the movie and you made it Jamaican.
It probably would not have happened, right? Like if he hadn't had frankly, not even just the clout, but just the fact that it did so well gave him the confidence, gave him the money, gave him whatever. But that was like what was that made it so that Acapulco could happen. And so if and that is that's Christian Bale's point, right? Is that if that's what people want, then they need to make those independent movies. They need to go support the independent movies. They need to support those movies that where people are taking those chances, and then that change will happen. So, I know you didn't like what he said, Christian Bale, and I don't know if I want to be in his corner on this one, but Johanna, I think that is what we. If you're gonna use Mel Gibson as a case study, then what Christian Bale said seems to be accurate.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think. You've heard our takes on the Exodus Gods and Kings situation. If you are out there and you go and see the film and you have something to say about it, or you just have a point to make about it, feel free to send us a message. You can send us an email at agentsofhelm.com. You can hit us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or any of the other social media networks at Agents of Helm. We are available all the time, and we will definitely respond to any inquiries or any discussion topics that you guys may have. So for Lorenzo, Joe, and Johanna, I am Malik. We are the Agents of Helm. Once again, have a great night, and we'll see you soon. We have our next show coming up. Lorenzo, right?
Our 50th.
Absolutely. We got shows up the wazoo lined up for you people. So just
absolutely
stay tuned, because we got Death Comes to Pemberley, which will be coming out hopefully before this comes out, and then we got Malik, we got your show, and then after that we got the 50th anniversary of our show. Johanna, did you find out? Is it Diamonds?
No, I haven't found out,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure it's Diamonds.
Well,
50th
I'm thinking that
isn't that silver or?
Am I making this up?
50 should be good. Whatever it is, 50 should be pretty good.
I think it's like silver.
And it's not 50
anniversary.
years, okay? It's
I know.
50 episodes.
50th episode.
But it's all. No, am I right? Is the episode?
It is.
What?
We are 50.
Could it be?
Yeah.
So that is exciting. So stay tuned for our
Gold.
Christmas episode.
Absolutely. Have a
Gold.
great night, everybody.
Golden Christmas episode.
Enjoy your weeks. Peace out.
That's good.